Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
Guys, how you guys all doing tonight? Welcome. This is the Club of the Man 1993, and we are back again, and we are live again. This time we are live for my live review of last night's episode of Friday Night SmackDown. This is the first time since January we have been live for an episode of SmackDown. As again, I've been trying to keep the live streams to one a week and then record the rest. There's been a few little exceptions here and there, but yeah, I haven't done a live stream since in a week and a half. Since I did last week's, not this past week's episode of Raw, but the week before episode of Raw, as I didn't do SmackDown last Friday or Raw this past week, as I did have to travel again last weekend for work. I went down to Fort Worth, Texas, to a trade show down in Fort Worth. So I left very early at the crack of dawn on Saturday morning, and I flew back home on Tuesday afternoon. And again, rather than just trying to cram those two reviews in, I'm like, you know what? Just ease back, take a break, and just come back for SmackDown. So that's exactly what I did. So to make up for it, I'm going to go live. We are going to review SmackDown, but I do want to talk about a couple little pieces of news and also a couple things from Raw, just because I wanted to get my thoughts on it, rather than just tying it all in like Raw stuff and SmackDown stuff and whatnot on the different reviews. Like, I'm just getting it all done tonight, and we're going to just move on and continue on to WrestleMania. Because, of course, this coming week will be the last week to do full reviews of Raw and SmackDown, as the following week will be the go-home week for WrestleMania. So you should review Raw and SmackDown. I'll be at some point doing my preview predictions for WrestleMania 41. As can't believe we are in the month. We're closing in quickly. I still wish, though, it was an Easter weekend. I think that's also another reason why ticket sales are struggling a little bit for WrestleMania 41, besides the fact that, the build has been, it was better this week for sure, but the build has not been horrible, but nowhere close to being incredible like it was for last year's Mania. And, again, ticket prices are expensive, but again, it's on Easter weekend. Because this year I'm not going to be able to watch Easter. I'm not going to be able to watch WrestleMania with any of my friends. Because also it is my first Easter as a father. So I don't, which also, by the way, today is 1 year since we first found out we were expecting our first child. So yes, that's pretty cool to say that as well. So yeah, I won't be watching Mania though with friends because it would be on Easter. And, but yeah. Overall though, this week's WB television programs were definitely had some pretty good stuff. Taking some feuds to another level. Some very cringe-worthy but entertaining promos. We'll talk about that as well when we get to the Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton promo from this past episode of SmackDown. Got more personal with Gunther and Jade we'll talk about. We're definitely going to talk about that Cody Rhodes and John Cena promo war. Naomi definitely will be addressed as well. CM Punk main eventing his first WrestleMania. We will talk about the sad news regarding Kevin Owens. And I'm also going to share a text that I just got from a friend regarding the possible timetable for Kevin Owens as well. and a few other things. So we're basically going to kind of like, just catch up a little bit in the stream. We're also just going to review SmackDown and just go from there. So this may be a little bit of a longer live stream just because of all that's happening. Because I am going to go detailed on a couple of things that didn't take place on SmackDown. Basically a couple of promos from prior episodes again that I didn't review while I was gone. So we're going to get all to that in this review. I may record the next 24 review tonight as well. I did watch the Keith Lee one while I was away, and I reviewed it when I got back. And last night, or this morning, I did watch the one on Big E. So if I am still, feeling good after this review, which I don't know, because it's already 11:11 at night here, then maybe I will do the 24 review as well. And of course, more content to come to the channel as well, too. So guys, make sure you guys get your thoughts down in the live chat, and we're going to roll in. First, we're going to check the live chat, see what we got so far. And we got our good friend Tyler here. Thank you for Tyler as well for joining us. Hi, Mike. Owens is not facing Randy at WrestleMania. Also, welcome back. Thank you. Who is Randy facing at WrestleMania now? Which I will talk about that when we get to the Owens segment as well. The new re-announcer is well given a chance or something like that. Oh yeah, yes, that's right. I forgot. Because there is a new announcer that replaced Lynn Garcia. It's a guy named Mark Nash. Of course, when I say Mark Nash, the first thing of it, there's an episode of SVU earlier on in the series. A suspect who was like a schizophrenic or something like that, who took medications. His name was Mark Nash. So that's who I thought of. But yeah, not bad so far. I would say he does have good energy and whatnot. Still growing on me, though. He's not going to be like the best ring announcer overnight. But I think he's a pretty good pickup so far. So yeah, I forgot to mention him. Also, by the way, speaking of announcers or whatnot, people on the microphone, one of my favorite podcasters, is he's very well known on YouTube, Chris Van Vliet, was in attendance at this week's episode of SmackDown, and he was sitting right behind Mr. Joe Tessitore, I noticed. So that was pretty cool to see him as well. Gave him a shout out there as well. He likes a couple of my tweets. I tag him in here and there and whatnot. So thank you as always, Mr. CVV as well. And hope you had a great time. And Tiff is awful on the mic. Like I said, we're going to get into that Charlotte and Tiffany Stratton segment for sure. Because that's one that I very interested to get people's thoughts on that one. Stick with water because, again, I gave up pop for Lent, which is tough, especially when I need a good Coke or Pepsi at a time like this. But I still want to get this review in tonight. Let's say do tomorrow. But we are going to roll in and get started. Again, before we get to the SmackDown review, let's talk about a couple. Well, there's some stuff that involved SmackDown that I'm going to tie into. Stuff from this week's episode of SmackDown. But mostly one piece of outside news. And a couple of things that happened on Raw this week. We will talk about, of course, the John Cena and Cody Rhodes promo as well and go in depth on that. And we will just roll from there. So first I want to mention, it was announced recently on Twitter, well, through other articles, that apparently we may be getting Rusev Day as Rusev, or his latest run in AEW, Miro, has apparently signed a new deal with WWE. Now, of course, questions are, what's it going to look like? Is he going to be Rusev? Is he going to be Miro? Is he going to have his old gimmick of Rusev Day? Or is he going to be Miro and have the Redeemer gimmick he had in AEW? And also, will Lana be with him? As most of you did know, Lana and Rusev did split. Or Lana and Miro. CJ Perry and Miroslav, whatever you want to call him now. They did split in 2023. But apparently they did get back together in the summer of 2024 and renewed their wedding vows. and they live together again. So apparently they are still together. If he is in fact coming back, will Lana come back too? Which I think is very possible that it could happen. I gotta be honest though, I'm not too sure about this one. Like, okay, Aleister Black coming back really excites me. I think he is going to be coming back. And spoiler alert, he is the one I think should be fighting Randy Orton now at WrestleMania. We'll talk about that, of course, when we get to the Owens injury storyline. Well, not storyline, but story, whatever you want to call it. Rusev's that guy that I feel like, although I trust that if he gets a good reaction when he comes back, Triple H will give him the spotlight he deserves. I just still worry, though, that, like, do you ever feel like there's some guys, like, that they're talented, but there just isn't any room for them at the top? I feel like that if Rusev came back, he could be one of those names. Kind of like a Karrion Kross, who how artistic he is. How great he could be. But it just feels like that he may never find that spot at the top in the WWE. And I worry that I don't know if like Aleister Black, I feel like will be in great hands. He's already been a proven main eventer. I feel like that he is good. Well, not saying Rusev isn't, but I feel like he's someone that you can immediately put him back on top. Rusev, though, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be someone that, there will be room for him getting the opportunities he should get. Being a main eventer, being a world champion. You could, heck, I could even see maybe doing like a match with like Rusev and Gunther or something like that, or like Rusev and Jacob Fatu, or Rusev and Braun Breaker. Like, there's good matches. It's just, are they gonna capitalize on him to the highest potential if he does come back? I'm worried that there may be a few too many names ahead of him on the roster, but could prove me wrong. Again, this is Triple H this time, but we'll see. I had to mention that one. On Raw this week, Tyler Bate also made his return after being out for like, I think 9-ish months due to, I think, a torn tricep injury. I forgot what injury he had, but he is back. And surprisingly, they reunited the New Catch Republic, which is him teaming up with Pete Dunne. I'm guessing that means Pete Dunne's a face again. I didn't do a turn alert on him yet, because I'm wondering, with how abrupt this is he a face? Or is this more such a thing where they're going to start playing them as like a Bizarro group, where they have one baby face and one heel? We'll have to wait and see, but it was good to see him back for sure. They, though, lost in their home country, the United Kingdom, to the New Day, who is seemingly going to be feuding with the War Raiders at WrestleMania for the World Tag Titles. Which, honestly, New Day should win. They're definitely one of the hottest acts in the tag team division right now, for sure, as heels. I think you should put the belts on them for sure. Yeah, it's good to see Tyler Bate back. I also have to briefly mention, so Gunther took on Jimmy Uso. And Gunther won. Afterwards, though, basically he was trying to go Jay out there. And Jay comes out and runs off Gunther. So everything's good. There's commercial break. I think that's it. Nope. Commercial comes back. And Gunther lays out both of them. He zip-tied Jay to the post. And basically he just watched Gunther absolutely massacre Jimmy Uso. They also had Jimmy get busted open. And Gunther basically just like tried to like just play the mind games with him and just like, here, you want him? Then he pulled him away because Jay couldn't get to him. And yes, it basically took the feud to a whole other level personally. And made it more personal. And more so that makes you want to see Jey Uso more get this victory over Gunther. I thought that was a very awesome, well done segment. For sure, needed to be done. Again, like I said recently, it felt like Jay and Gunther were more so like, okay, the match is official. You feel a little more confident that this time they're going to give Jay his world title victory that he definitely deserves. But it felt like you had nothing else mattered in the middle. But this kind of made it like more interesting. I still think though they need to make the match 2 out of 3 falls. If they're going to prove this ain't a fluke victory over Gunther, make it 2 out of 3 falls. Still think they should do that. But that was very well done. And of course, the other thing that doesn't really tie in, the other thing that doesn't really tie into SmackDown that we should talk about is this John Cena and Cody Rhodes promo. This is a promo that for the first few weeks, it was all more focused on John Cena's new character. Well, now it's got some heat and some spice between him and Cody. So let's go into that promo. So John Cena didn't even get to say anything before Cody Rhodes came out. And as they get up there, Cody starts talking and says, John, we've heard you talk for the past 2 weeks. And now he's going to do his job for him. He's going to cook him, right? He's going to end him. Where to start? There's so much to make fun of him. He has a bit of a lisp. Words with an S can be trouble, like Stardust. He also has an arm tattoo on his neck. He gets booed in a company he created. There's so much, but he knew John wasn't going to bite on it. Maybe he's just struggling with the idea that Superman really is dead. But Cena's words haven't matched his actions. He believes he's been lying for the past few weeks. And he mentions how they used to ride together. And Cena really does care about the fans. But he wants to know the real reason. Why? Cena then amongst the "you sold out" chants, says he's not going to reduce himself and punch down to Cody's level just to protect him. He's been protected long enough. He's also not going to cook him. He's going to bury him just like he buried everybody else. And Cena mentions how, people mentioned for years he buried talent. But here's the thing. He never buried talent. He is talent. He buries mediocrity. And he doesn't care about Cody's lisp or his failures, but his ego outstrips his ability, and all he's done is ridden Cena's coattails, and he did so great that they could hand him the reins of the organization to his chauffeur, a slimy pickpocket who thinks that just because he stole the blueprint, he can run the kingdom. Cody with the title disgusts him. He sat by his side for years and stole every secret he needed to be undeniable. But Cody is still underwhelming. He tried to drill it into his egotistical skull that he needs to be authentic, but he's too perfect and polished and rehearsed, relying on lazy gimmicks to get by. Cody, though, does not look, act, or work like him. But he also doesn't look, act, or work like him. Because after all these years, he's still afraid to show who he really is. So instead, we get a generic mix of all his favorite TV shows and stars, look like a kid who's taking acting lessons and is still afraid of public speaking. Cody has only shown that he's something mediocre, wrestling something meaningful, and that's enough to trick these people. Cena worked too hard to make that title meaningful. To see it carted around by a Nepo baby so narcissistic that he has his gimmick tattooed on him. It's not the location of the tattoo, it's that he has it all that exposes him as a common fan just like them. Which, of course, that tattoo line was definitely a great singer. So after he loses, he can go buy the toy belt and be exposed for who he is. An errand boy that got lucky. That's your why, pal. Cody, though, fires back and he says, I was chosen by the fans. And John, can you say the same? No, because you were chosen by a guy in an office who doesn't work here anymore that we don't even talk about anymore. A Vince Singer. Stripped everything away from him. He's Cody Rhodes, a wrestler like his father before him. And if anybody is a company creation, it's John, not him. Everybody's so terrified. Okay, he basically LDS'd John Cena. Last year he LDS'd The Rock. This week he LDS'd John Cena. He tells how everybody is so terrified of him on the microphone, but Cody says he's not because he knows John has more dick in the promo than he does in his jorts. Yow! That one got laid on thick there. He also makes fun of John for looking 16 and taking public speaking lessons. John, though, hangs out with Zac Efron and wishes he was 16. With a softball saying he created him and all this, he creates a lot of disenfranchised fans who made it easy for him to go elsewhere and create something new for them. Talking about AEW. Don't act like you cleaned your room before you left either, John. Don't act like you let WWE better than you found it. See, Cody's not going to ask him one thing that might punch a hole in all of his logic. And it's simple. Between the two of them, which one of them sold out to The Rock? You sold out chance, of course, start imploding. And Cody says Cena is still his hero, but he's also a piece of shit. John then replies back saying his brain is filled with fesses, not facts. And he worked 100 times harder than Cody. He was never protected from a superstar or audience taking their best shot at him. And every time he stepped in the ring, it was a challenge to take your strongest swing and see if you're worthy to put him in the ground. And no one has been. But he's doing it all himself. That's why he's never left. He's always been here because no matter how high the hill is or gross the garbage, he finds a way to make it great. Cody, though, had to leave because at best he could wipe Cena's ass. Cena also mentions this was one of everybody's favorites. He mentions how he built empires for billionaires, and the best Cody Rhodes can do is steal money from their kids, which of course he's referring to Tony Khan. And he tells him he will see him at WrestleMania, which apparently rumors are this may have been Cena's last promo before WrestleMania. I do think they need to do one or two more, because this felt like they were just getting into the next gear for sure with this. But Cody, though, then as Cena goes to leave, calls out Cena and says, I have never once received a "you can't wrestle" chant, which obviously John has received many of them. So he gets back in the ring, ready to fight. But then he smiled and turned away. But then Cody turns back to John going for a cheap shot, but he blocks him and lays him out with the crossroads. Absolutely amazing promo, for sure. Like I said, it to me, even though they were taking their time, having Cena kind of break things out each week of why he's doing what he's doing and whatnot, but this one was the first one that was really personal with him and Cody Rhodes. I still wonder though how, of course, this is going to go down. I really feel like that WrestleMania could be ending with a lot of heel victories, and not the happiest of happy endings, but I lost train of thought there. I'm sorry. But no, I still think that, this was definitely their best promo. I still think they should do one more promo war, get a little bit more altercation involved in it. But yeah, this was definitely, a hot promo. Definitely made it more personal between the two of them. And I thought that's what several feuds were lacking for WrestleMania 41, like again with the Jay and Gunther feud, and even this feud as well. Not saying it was lacking, but it was just like we needed more into Cena explaining, why he hates us all now and whatnot. But yeah, I still thought that was excellent stuff there for sure, that promo, and I had to talk about it briefly again. It was a great promo. The back and forth zingers were great too. Again, Cody basically LDSing John Cena, and John Cena basically calling Cody Rhodes someone who just steals money from billionaires' kids and other things, and of course making fun of his neck tattoo and everything. It was a good promo to get more heat between the two of them, so I definitely appreciate that and really enjoyed that as well. But yeah, those were those things I wanted to talk about. We'll start getting into SmackDown. And again, there's a few other things I do want to talk about, but most of them tie in with SmackDown. So, we're opening up with CM Punk. And CM Punk, last week on SmackDown, was told by Paul Heyman that he was going to main event WrestleMania. Which I thought, okay, there's some people I know of that don't like this, because that means Jey Uso is not going to get to main event WrestleMania. If you guys are bothered by that, I totally understand. Because, again, Jey definitely worked very hard to get there and earned it, even though Punk, of course, has been waiting for years. But still, it kind of felt like this could have been Jey Uso could have easily main evented one of these shows. But without that, he's probably going to open one of the shows, which, okay, that's a pretty good thing as well. But I do agree, like, the show ending with everybody yeeting in the crowd would have been phenomenal. But instead, we're going to be getting CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. The only thing is, though, is that's not the favor, though, that Punk says that Heyman owes him. We finally got our answer on this week's episode of SmackDown as to what indeed that favor is. We didn't find out about it, though, till the very end. Because Punk opened the show soaking in the adoration of his hometown. He was told the best audience are overseas, but Chicago is right there as well. But he also mentions a little fact. He's not supposed to be here. It never stopped him before. He was born with a cord around his neck, turned out blue, and then basically mentions all other times that, he was told no and whatnot. Even, of course, the main event, WrestleMania. He, of course, mentions, of course, his journey from starting in the backyards of Chicago. He trained at the Steelman Domain, signed a contract here, paraded and dressed like Al Capone or John Cena's gangster car. And he was told still by then he wasn't supposed to be here, and he again was just put down big time. So he appreciates all the well wishes and everything. He also shouts out to AJ Lee saying that he couldn't have done any of this without her, and also we also thank Larry, his puppy, which Larry got a nice chant. But then too many people to thank. But he has a date at WrestleMania. And he promises to whoop Seth Rollins' ass and put a beating on Roman Reigns. And again, it will be for the first time in his career, one of the main events. Probably main eventing night one, but it's still a main event. Paul Heyman, though, comes out. And he apologizes for being late. And how, of course, Roman was running a little bit behind. He wasn't there yet. But basically, he asked for Punk to do him another favor. Like he asked from War Games. And the favor was, Paul Heyman was asking Punk, what favor do I actually owe you anyways? In which Punk said, okay, I'm going to wait and tell you with your wise man later on tonight. So that was the suspense for the rest of the show. What was the favor? And we're not going to find out till Roman got there, which was until the very end of the show, of course. But yeah, good opening segment. We'll talk about more when we get to the main event. Well, the closing segment. Rey Fenix made his WWE debut. And he took on one half of the NXT Tag Team Champions, Nathan Frazer. Other than some botches, like whenever Nathan went for a dive between the ropes and he got his foot up, kind of like tripped and screwed up a wee bit, and I forgot what move Ray messed up too, but it was still really good to see Ray Fenix in WWE. Both Lucha Bros are in the company, and they each are on their own brand. Good. Give them time to shine as single stars before you give them back to being Lucha Bros. But he took on Nathan Frazer. Again, other than a few botches, this was a great first showing for sure for Ray Fenix. And again, even for you botches as well, Nathan Frazer is awesome as well. Again, like I said, the dream match for me and him is for sure him and his mentor, Seth Rollins. I definitely want to see them have a match. But Fenix does win. Afterwards, he was interviewed, basically thanks Chicago, and basically he's excited to be here, and this and that, whatnot, and that's all he basically talked about there. Drew McIntyre had a backstage promo where he was wearing an eye patch, because last week on SmackDown, he got chokeslammed by Damian Priest into a windshield window. And I was trying to thought there, sorry. And of course, when he did that, though, apparently one of the pieces of glass came back and hit Drew McIntyre. Later on, of course, Punk walked past the scene of the moment and said, "Real glass," huh? Obviously referring back to AEW, which of course is savage, but I guess Drew for now is wearing an eye patch until that all heals. Braun Strowman being interviewed about his upcoming Last Man Standing match. LA Knight beat Tama Tonga. And then, of course, Heyman was still waiting for Roman backstage. But then, of course, a car pulls up thinking it was Rollins, the exact limousine. Instead, it was Seth, who isn't going to miss this favor that Punk apparently is asking from Paul Heyman, that he had no clue what it was before the show even happens. Let me see here. Okay. Let's really energize here for a second, because we got a lot to talk about for this next segment. Do that. Oh, shoot. I also meant to put on my mask when we talk about Ray Fenix's debut. So let me do that really quick here and put that mask on, just for show and giggles. I know it's a Rey Mysterio mask, but we got Ray Fenix, so wearing a luchador mask. Look pretty cool, huh? Don't you think? Let's keep it on for a bit and talk with this on. So, yeah. First, let me go to Twitter really quick here, because I did post a poll on Twitter about this. TA Couponer is sending me something on Twitter. Oh, come on. Okay, you're right. My passcode. It's something with it was like Dijak and Baron Corbin. Nice. Give that a like right there. I ran a poll and only got 3 votes on it, though. Basically, I want to know what are your guys' honest thoughts about this Charlotte and Tiffany Stratton promo. Most of them, the votes said something was off. I'm taking this mask off. It doesn't really fit what I'm talking about right now. If I would remember for the Ray Fenix promo, I would have had it, but whatever. Anyways, though, so something happened during this Charlotte and Tiffany Stratton promo. And let me just say this. Promos like this kind of exposed some weaknesses and some possible real life heat as well. The past couple weeks, 2 weeks ago on SmackDown, they had that split screen interview with them. And Charlotte really dug into Tiffany Stratton there. Last week, Tiffany had a promo that kind of it didn't make sense, and it kind of just exposed that she still has a lot of work to do on the microphone. So this week, it really felt like they were trying to get Tiffany to kind of, for once, get the edge on Charlotte. But instead, it looked like they went completely off script. And that it was, it looked like that Charlotte may have also cracked under the pressure, because of just how much she's been getting booed, she got back. Like, look, I gotta say, of all the crowds we've seen, 90% of them have been booing Charlotte since she's been back. Kind of sad to see that, even though she was gone for like a whole year from her knee injury, nobody wanted her back. That is heat that takes a lot to do, basically. So, the promo itself. So, Tiffany Stratton, well, first it starts off with Charlotte Flair crowing about her reaction from the crowd. And Tiffy says the crowd wants to know what time it is, and he gets a big Tiffy time response. But then Charlotte's like, you were begging, and I'm a gift that keeps on giving, and every week from that desperation leaks through, and that's why she picked Tiffany Stratton, thinking she picked the bones of her easily. Let me see here. I scroll past a few things. Come on. She wanted to show the smartest wrestling fans here in the world, right here in Chicago, that there is no comparison. Tiffy says Charlotte's greatest opponent has always been the fans, and she'll never win them. And no matter how many titles she wins, she'll always come second to her daddy. Which, that's where it kind of seemed like Charlotte starting to get thrown off. Because she just kept standing there with this like awkward smile on her face. Kind of like how she got a little lost and got very thrown off. And she's like, you think you're the first to say that she comes second to her dad? To booing continues to throw off Charlotte so much that it was starting to, I agree, it was starting to get very uncomfortable. And basically Charlotte basically gave up and told Tiffany to carry on. Which, again, no offense to her, but lately it's showing Tiffy still needs work on the microphone. But instead of like cutting something unique, she takes some low blow shots and says Charlotte was trying to play volleyball and drinking in her daddy's basement when she was 25. Whereas Tiffy's 25 and she's going into WrestleMania as champion. And it basically was Charlotte just like acting like Tiffy was a little girl. And this whole promo just turned into like two blonde mean girls just like bickering over bitter things. She calls Charlotte a Nepo baby and how she's not a queen. But Charlotte agrees and nope, I'm the number one Nepo baby. And then though, so I guess there was an interview this week Charlotte had where she mentioned how it's been hard for her lately, being out injured and coming back, but then being labeled like her father, saying what's going to happen first? She's going to win more titles than her dad, or she's going to get divorced more times than her dad? Because her and Andrade recently got divorced, and it's her third divorce. Yikes. But basically, they ran out of stuff to say. They went off script. And again, I still think the main thing was Charlotte cracked under the pressure, which is surprising because you would think that Charlotte wouldn't be someone who knows how to handle the crowd and wouldn't crack under the pressure like that. And it's also kind of exposed there may be a little bit of real life heat with Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton, which, okay, I get it. Both of them have like kind of like those mean girl personas to them, but you would have thought Charlotte would have known better than just to throw Tiffany on under the bus on this. But Tiffy said something like, you know, how Charlotte's not going to win the title at WrestleMania. She's going to be all alone, 0-3 like she is now or something like that. And she must, again, that must have not been a planned line. Like I said, that's why I thought there really is heat between these two in real life, because after she said that, she just slid right out of there and walked away. And then Charlotte said, you know, Kaiser's in my DMs, right? Referring to Tiffy's real life boyfriend, Ludwig Kaiser. She didn't even react to it. So I still wonder if that was literally a shoot interview and the two of them were really taking cracks at each other. Which is a shame because I do know the story where Tiffany Stratton claims that Charlotte Flair was the reason why she got into wrestling. And kind of thing where it's like, it's not cool sometimes meeting your heroes. And they may have some real life heat there. But it was one of those pros that it was just so over the place. it was kind of entertaining. But you can tell after a little bit that they basically just ad-libbed the rest of it. And again, Charlotte cracking under the pressure, though, did not help. So I'm interested to see what your guys' thoughts on that was. Because that was just... that was kind of a messy promo. But entertaining at the same time. Next, Nick Aldis does announce that next week we're going to be getting a tag team turmoil between Raw and SmackDown teams, or a gauntlet match, when it was on SmackDown, to determine the new number one contender for the women's tag titles for WrestleMania. Okay? Motor City Machine Guns beat DIY. We've seen them wrestle how many times? They beat DIY, and they're going to take on the Street Profits at WrestleMania, most likely, but they're number one contenders. Metal Adult Miz had a segment pretty deadly backstage. Do you care about that? No, because I don't care about pretty deadly, blah, blah, blah. I guess they're having the match coming up. B-Fab. So, before we get into this, B-Fab took on Naomi. Let's talk about Naomi's promo from last week on SmackDown. And this new gimmick she has called Proceed with Caution. So, she came out. She had the promo on SmackDown last week, where she's in like a dark room. She was talking about how she's always been a woman to do the right thing. So what made Bianca think her attack on Jade was anything but her doing the right thing? And then she started getting emotional, saying what broke her heart is that all she sacrificed only to be made out to be the bad one in the situation. How did Jade come in out of nowhere and take her place? And she asked Bianca who has inspired her and always had her back from day one. She's learned all this, that you teach people how to treat you, and she's done with being treated like a third wheel. Underutilized and underappreciated. So moving forward, if Jay continues to get in her way, she strongly advises her to proceed with caution. So that was definitely, in my opinion, one of Naomi's best promos for sure. This week she took on B-Fab. Surprisingly, though, she doesn't have a new entrance theme yet. Of course, it got cut off because Jade attacked her on the entranceway, but didn't help much because Naomi still did beat B-Fab. And then afterwards, Jade came out again, and then Nick Aldis set a match at WrestleMania. Cool there. We also have Damian Priest responded back to Drew McIntyre's promo from earlier in the show. And then we had this sad segment. So Nick Aldis is in the ring saying, this is one of the parts of this job that's not fun. There's a difference between coming back next week and everything's fine and not knowing if you'll be able to wrestle again. There's a reason why they say don't try this at home, but he wants us to hear it from the man himself. Kevin Owens came out, and there were some rumblings throughout the day about Kevin Owens going to have to drop out of WrestleMania. Well, that is exactly what happened, because Owens got on a mic, not in character, as his serious self, and says he's been in this industry for 25 years. And in that time, he gave everything he had every time he stepped in the ring. And he's gotten to live incredible things and experience things he'll never forget. Take care of his family in ways he could never dream of. But unfortunately, in this business, there does come a price to pay, as this does take a toll on their bodies. And now it seems to be his turn to take to pay the price. For the last 4 months, he's been wrestling with a serious neck injury. Holy Moses. And this week they figured it out, and now he has to go get neck surgery. So that's what he's going to do. And, of course, he won't be able to wrestle Randy Orton at WrestleMania. Thanks to WWE for letting him come out and say it himself, because he doesn't know when or even if he'll be able to come back out here and wrestle again. The last few years, though, he's learned to not take anything for granted, and he's learned not to take this for granted, so now he wanted to say thank you, and he's sorry. Kevin Owens did come out and just, show him some respect and whatnot on his way out. He was basically told he has no WrestleMania match in RKO Nick Aldis. The main thing, though, is the fact that for poor Kevin Owens. I feel so bad. But crazy enough, that he's still been wrestling with that bad neck. Because apparently he hurt it during one of his matches on SmackDown before Rumble, either against Ray or against Jimmy. But despite that, he still took there was some nasty bumps in that ladder match. He even told some nasty spots with that match with Sammy at Chamber. But again, sometimes take the toll on him. And I lost train of thought there. Yeah. So that does leave Randy Orton as an opponent. I still think they should do Aleister Black versus Randy Orton for WrestleMania. Aleister re-debuts, and again, that's been a dream match of mine for sure as it came to the main roster. Aleister Black and Randy Orton. That'd be an interesting feud to do for sure too. But yeah. My thoughts and prayers with Kevin Owens. Because I got a text before I started this stream from my good buddy, we all call him Penta L. Miller, advising that Owens could possibly be out for 2 to 5 years. That's horrible. And Owens is already 40 years old, too. You would think that if he's having an injury this late in his career, he may consider hanging it up, if I'm being honest. But you never know. He still could come back. But I figured if they're giving them a 2 to 5 year timetable, it's probably because, people who, of course, like Daniel Bryan or Cope, Saraya, and them, they were told they'd never wrestle again. Neck injuries may happen. It looks like Big E still has hope to come back someday too, but, we'll have to wait and see on that as well. So, yeah, hopefully Kevin Owens recovers well, and we see him again soon. Braun Strowman then lost to Jacob Fatu in a short last man standing match. And then the closing segment was the favor. So Roman arrived, he came out, Rollins came out laughing. Punk came out and basically said that years ago he had a conversation with Paul and he promised him no matter what he'd be in his corner when he main evented WrestleMania. And of course Roman's like, you're gonna say no, right? And then Paul got all emotional and said, nope, I can't say no to him as well. So then, of course, Roman didn't like that. He goes to attack Heyman, but he GTS him and has to stand on Raw and end the show. Cool. I really thought that this was a good episode of SmackDown. Other than, again, the Tiffany and Charlotte promo, which was definitely very cringe, but entertaining in the ways, it was so bad, it was actually pretty entertaining. But yeah, that's going to do it for SmackDown. I didn't talk as much as I wanted to, but, I do see you guys stuff in the live chat here. They ruined Cross. Will Lucha Bros finally team up with WWE? Give them a year before they start teaming up for sure. Jump Day sucks, yes. Charlotte should have slapped her after that. I'm surprised they did get into a real fight after that. And Owens would be out before summer or fall. I don't know. Yeah, so I heard originally, though, they knew about this neck injury, and they were trying to get Randy through Mania, have Orton punt and write him off TV to go rest and get, fixed up. But yeah, they had to pull the plug sooner because I guess this is a pretty bad injury. So I hope Kevin Owens, is okay. And also to that fan who talked crap on him on the way out, get a life. But yeah, I'm not going to do the 24 review tonight. I'm too tired, guys. So that's my review of SmackDown, guys. Again, thank you for joining me live here. I gave it a B. So good stuff. Again, that stuff with Charlotte and Tiffany definitely kind of dampened it a little, but the match looked great in the ring, as we all know. But that's going to do it, guys. I'm tired. I'm going to bed. Gave SmackDown a B. We're going to start on SmackDown and everything to talk about as well as leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Also, be sure as always to slap a like on the video, subscribe for more content on my channel, follow me on Twitter as well at ClubMan93, and also follow me on TikTok and Instagram at ClubMan93. I'm tired, guys. I'm going to bed. Have a great rest of your night. I'll catch y'all later. And do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself, and that is not just an opinion, guys. That is a fact of life. Yeah!